30th of July. This particular bill pertains the Konza Technopolis Bill. This is Senate Bills number 2 of the year 2023 by nominated Senator Gloria Oroba. Another nominated senator with a bill that senators are set to yet again resume debate on this afternoon is Senator Crystal Asige, and her bill is in regards to the Persons with Disability Bill. This is Senate Bills number 7 of the year 2023. And in a nutshell, this particular bill on the Persons with Disability Bill seeks to ensure that people with PWD's conditions are given equal opportunity to other members of the society in terms of employment and so forth. The County Licensing Uniform Procedures Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of the year 2022, is also another bill lined up for debate. This particular bill is by nominated Senator Mariam Sheikh Omar. After consideration of those particular 3 bills, the Senate will then sort of retreat into the Committee of the Whole, where under this category, senators will be resuming debates on 3 bills: the Natural Resources Benefit Sharing Bill, as well as the Cotton Industry Development Bill, and the Employment Amendment Bill, Bill number 11 of the year 2022 by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, are some of the bills that will be sort of considered under the Committee of the Whole. After the completion of the allocated time for debate, the Senate will be moving into division, where senators will be sort of voting on matters to do with the proposals in the bill, as well as amendments proposed in some of the bill. Also lined up for consideration this afternoon is the Agriculture and Food Authority Amendment Bill. This is Senate Bills number 13 of the year 2023 by the Senator for Kirinyaga County, Honorable Senator James Murango. The Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of the year 2023, is the last bill that will be considered this afternoon before the senators embark on consideration of motions lined up for debate this afternoon. And to kick off the motion section, the regulation of electronic cigarettes in Kenya by nominated Senator Catherine Muma is the motion given priority in the order paper this afternoon. The nominated senator from the ODM party seeks to have the Senate resolve that the Minister of Health should urgently convene an all-inclusive stakeholders forum to do 2 things. One of the aspects that this Ministry of Health and the aspect of the stakeholders forum is to develop a national policy regulating e-cigarettes and all related elements, including the vape pens, e-liquids, flavors, and their marketing, as well as advertising in the mainstream media, as well as social media. Also, this particular stakeholders forum is also set to establish rules to govern the production, as well as sales, advertising, and consumption of synthetic nicotine, and control of the illicit trade of counterfeit products. The report of the Senate delegation to the 67th session of the Commission, this is on the status of women, held in New York from the 6th to the 17th of March 2023, is also another motion that senators will be debating this afternoon. Another report that senators are set to consider this afternoon is the report of the 146th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union, popularly known as IPU, and related meetings held in Namama Kingdom in Bahrain from the 11th to the 15th of March 2023. This particular report was tabled by the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Kathuri Murungi, being the leader of the delegation that headed to Manama in the Kingdom of Bahrain in the March of 2023. Pursuant to Standing Orders of the Senate, Standing Orders 57, subsection 1, the Senate Majority Leader will be issuing a statement on the business of the Senate commencing the first week of August, that is the 1st of August 2023. The business of the Senate is just about to commence. Allow me to hand you over for this live broadcast. Enjoy your viewing.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with abundant favor and blessings us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to put to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters which shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our church. Amen. Clerk, do we have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
The Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, presiding over the business of the Senate this Thursday, has directed the Sergeant at Arms to ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes, and this directive is issued pursuant to Standing Orders of the Senate on matters quorum that require that any particular time when the House is sitting, at least 15 senators have to be in the chamber, as that is the minimum number of senators required. The quorum of the Senate stands at 15 senators. And as we await for the Senate to raise that particular pertinent quorum, allow me to sort of keep taking you through the order paper this afternoon on issues set for deliberations by senators this afternoon. The Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, is this afternoon set to communicate to the House on issues pertaining a petition. This particular petition is a petition to the Senate by the members of the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, popularly known as KUPPET, and the residents of Kilifi County. This particular petition concerns the alleged discrimination by the Teachers Service Commission, TSC, on the payment of hardship allowances and enhanced house allowance for teachers in Kilifi County. Pursuant to Standing Orders of the House, Standing Orders number 53, subsection 1, a number of senators are set to seek statements before various standing committees of the House. The Senator for Taita Taveta County, Senator Jones Moruma, will be seeking a statement from the Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources concerning mining in Kishushe area in Taita Taveta County. The Senator for Laikipia County, Senator John Kinyua, will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters Education concerning the state of learning in Ngiroriti Primary in Laikipia County. The last senator under this category is Senator Beatrice Ogola, who will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters Labor and Social Welfare regarding gender-based violence, GBV, in Homa Bay County. Further, under the Standing Orders of the House, Standing Orders number 56, subsection B, on matters to do with chairpersons of various committees communicating to the House, the chairperson, Standing Committee on Matters, Information, Communication and Technology, will be making a statement regarding the activities of the committee for the period between April to June 2023. JLAC Committee, the Justice and Legal Affairs and Human Rights Chairperson, will be making a statement relating to the activities of the committee under the same period between April to June 2023. And finally, the last chairperson is the chairperson in charge of the Committee of Labor and Social Welfare, who will also be communicating to the House in regards to the activities the committee has been undertaking for the period ending June 2023 and beginning in April 2023. This afternoon, pursuant to Standing Orders 57, subsection 1, we expect the Senate for the Senate Majority Leader, that is Senator Aaron Cheriot, to issue a statement on the business of the Senate for the week commencing the 1st of July 2023. This communication by the leader of the majority party will be communication owing to the resolutions of the Senate Business Committee. I understand the Senate has raised that particular quorum. Allow me to hand you over for that particular live proceedings of the Senate this afternoon. Enjoy your viewing.
You to call the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3.
Honorable Senators, kindly hasten. I need to make some communications, please. All the honorable senators, kindly take your seats so that we prosecute the business of the day. Honorable senators, I do have the following communication to make. Over the last 9 years, the Council of Governors, in conjunction with the Senate, the national government and the county governments, have hosted annual devolution conference in various parts of the country. The conference have generated conversations around certain thematic areas of concern to the counties, nationally and globally. Key among them being the devolved governance structure established under Chapter 11 of the Constitution following its promulgation in 2010. The conferences were geared towards assessing the progress of devolution, identify challenges faced by the county governments, share best practices, and provide a platform for stakeholders to exchange ideas and solutions. The Senate continues to be a critical stakeholder in this discourse, and its participation in the devolution conference cannot be gainsaid. During the 6th annual and final annual devolution conference held in Wote, Makueni County in 2021, it was agreed that the subsequent conferences be held after every 2 years. This marked the end of the annual conferences. Now, honorable senators, the first biannual devolution conference is scheduled to take place at the Eldoret Sports Club in Eldoret, Uasin County, from Tuesday 15th August to Saturday 19th August. The theme of the event is 10 years of devolution, the present and the future. And the sub-theme is driving transformation from the local level, county governments as the center of economic development. This theme will not have come at a better time, as more focus is shifting to county governments as the centers of economic development, inclusivity, and sustainable growth. As the co-chair of the steering committee, which coordinates the hosting of the event, I appointed senators to the steering committee to assist in guiding and advising on the participation of the Senate in the conference. The representatives of the Senate at the steering committee include the following senators: Senator Jackson Mandago, MP, Senator for Singishu County and Chairperson, Standing Committee on Health, Professor Margaret Kamar, EGH, MP, Senator Moses Kajwang, MP, Chairperson, Select Committee on County Public Accounts, and Senator Mohammed Abbas Sheikh, MP, Chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. Activities of the Steering Committee are supported by an organizing committee comprising various offices from the Senate. A number of senators have been identified to represent the Senate in the conference program as panelists. I urge the identified senators to cooperate with the Steering Committee and to closely work with the Secretariat to ensure the effective participation of the Senate. Honorable Senators, in conclusion, I urge all honorable senators to save these dates and plan to attend and participate at this important event in our devolution calendar. Senators may give their confirmation by signing a register to be circulated in the chamber from today until Wednesday, 10th August 2023. I thank you, Senators. I have also the following communication to make. As you may be aware, Standing Order 256.1 of the Senate Standing Orders provides the requirements for a senator who intends to travel outside Kenya, and it states as follows. A senator intending to travel outside Kenya, whether in an official or private capacity, shall give the Speaker a written notice to that effect, indicating the following. 1, the destination intended to be visited. 2, the dates of the intended travel and the period of absence from Kenya. And C, the email, telephone contact, postal or physical address of the senator during the period of absence from Kenya. Now, the past senators have been writing just a brief paragraph to the Speaker that I intend to travel to Norway, and therefore I seek the Speaker's approval. Those letters do not contain the details demanded of us pursuant to Standing Order 256.1, and therefore the Secretariat has formulated a template, a form. So if you intend to travel, just get hold of that form and fill in the blank spaces that have been designed in that form. You may talk to your peers so that they can get hold of that form, make as many copies as you wish, and store them in your office for your use going forward. This is to emphasize to each and every one of you to adhere to these requirements of the Senate Standing Orders. Further, this is to draw your attention to the provisions of Article 103(1)(b) of the Constitution, which states as follows. If during any session of Parliament, the member is absent from 8 sittings of the relevant House without permission in writing from the Speaker, and is unable to offer satisfactory explanation for the absence to the relevant committee, it should be noted that Article 103(1) is applicable when the absence is occasioned by a senator traveling out of the country, but applies equally when a senator is within the country but does not attend a sitting of the Senate. So, honorable senators, please stand guided accordingly. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Senator Matthew, kindly take your seat. I've got a petition to present. Have a seat, Senator. I didn't call you to. What is your point of order, Senator Eddie?
First of all, Mr. Speaker, it's not really a point of order, but just a point of clarification on the notice to your office about travel. Does this apply even during recess, when the sitting of the House is not affected?
Yes, it applies for the term of your office. Senator Governor, now, honorable senators, I hereby report to the Senate that a petition has been submitted to the Senate by teachers who are members of the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, and residents of Kilifi County concerning alleged discrimination by the Teacher Service Commission on payment of hardship allowance and enhanced house allowance to teachers in Kilifi County. As you're aware, under Article 119 of the Constitution, and I quote, "Every person has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within the authority, including enacting, amending, or repealing any legislation." Now, honorable senators, the salient issues raised in this petition are as follows. That on 13th July 2021, the Teacher Service Commission signed a collective bargaining agreement with the Kenya National Union of Teachers, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, and Kenya Union of Special Needs Education Teachers, where the Commission promised to promote teachers serving in arid and semi-arid lands and had to staff areas by issuing hardship allowances until they reach grades that are commensurate to their respective positions. That in Kilifi County, the Teacher Service Commission listed only Magarini and Ganze sub-counties in Kilifi County as hardship areas, allowing teachers to benefit from the hardship allowance, leaving out Chonyi, Rabai, Kaloleni sub-counties, Uyombo area, and Marafiki Island. That despite Malindi sub-county being classified as a major municipality for teachers to receive enhanced house allowance under Category 2, teachers working some schools within Malindi, including Sabaki Primary School, Sabaki Secondary School, Majivuni Primary School, and Kibokoni Primary School, get a house allowance for others reserve areas and Category 4, as per the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, clusters of teachers' workstations. That Mutwapa and Mariakani towns are categorized under reserve areas for teachers to draw enhanced house allowance under Category 4, as per the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, clusters of teachers' workstations, while the teachers pay high rates of rent occasioned by the towns being major tourist sites. That the petitioners have made efforts to have the matter addressed by the relevant authorities, all of which have failed to have the matter resolved. That the petition therefore pray the Senate to investigate this matter with a view to do the following. Effect inclusion of Chonyi, Rabai, Kaloleni sub-counties, Uyombo area, and Marafiki Island in Kilifi County as hardship areas to enable teachers working in these areas to benefit from hardship allowance. 2, initiate inclusion of all schools in Malindi municipality, including Sabaki Primary School, Sabaki Secondary School, Majivuni Primary School, and Kibokoni Primary School, for teachers to receive enhanced house allowance under Category 2 as per the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, clusters of teachers' workstations. And finally, initiate inclusion of Mutwapa and Mariakani towns as major municipalities to allow teachers working there to draw an enhanced house allowance of Category 2 and the major municipalities. Honourable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 237, I will allow comments, observation, or clarification in relation to this petition for not more than 30 minutes. Senator Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for this chance. Mr. Speaker, I'm a very big fan of petitions because I find them to be effective. I find them to be also one of the quickest way in which this House dispenses justice to the people that are represented through their representatives here. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've listened keenly to this petition, and it raises something that is both legal and extra legal, in the sense that it's a policy decision which perhaps the committee which will give the opportunity to listen to this petition, Mr. Speaker, will have to guide us. Mr. Speaker, you're aware that the Commission for Revenue Allocation conducted an extensive study after being moved actually by this House, Mr. Speaker, because you know, for a long time, this country was used to description of hardship areas as certain parts of the country. And it began by a very erratic and whole-scale definition of what a hardship area is. Previously, Mr. Speaker, if you read the reports of this House, you will recognize or realize, Mr. Speaker, that there were certain regions, actually, or what used to be referred to as back in the days, in the previous constitutional dispensation, as provinces that were considered to be hardship areas. But eventually, Mr. Speaker, with the guidance of the Budget and Finance Committee of this House, Commission of Revenue Allocation updated its reading and appreciation of this particular matter to know that while you can have a county, say, as rich as Kiambu, that there are certain parts of that Kiambu County that do actually qualify as marginalized area because of either their placing, agricultural dispensation, and so many other factors that will involve poverty index and all those things that go into the consideration of what an arid and semi-arid area is, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, listening to the petitioners, first it is clear that TSC is still living in the old dispensation where you classify hardship areas as constituencies. Yet we have moved actually from constituencies. We are now at wards. Out of the 1,500 wards in the country, Mr. Speaker, a good number of them has been classified as hardship areas or arid and semi-arid areas, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I expect that the committee that you will give this petition, Mr. Speaker, will guide us so that as a country, we can have a unified policy that applies for teachers, applies for police, applies for the purpose of equalization fund, and all these considerations, Mr. Speaker, because it's the same people, the same country, the same geographical location. We cannot have different classification for different forms of services, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, that will be the biggest achievement over and above what these residents and the teachers of Kilifi are looking up to, Mr. Speaker, so that TSC, just like many other organizations that are yet to update their records and be guided by the constitutionally mandated organ for distribution of resources in this country, Mr. Speaker, and this qualifies as a resource salary, Mr. Speaker, can guide the process so that we don't have different classification for police officers, a different one for teachers.
Chirange, what is the problem? Proceed.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I'm actually done. That's a point that I wish that the...
Senator Mazayo.
Okay.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, kitu cha kwanza nataka kuwapatia kongole wale walioleta hii taarifa, wale walimu walioleta hii taarifa. Bwana Spika, tunaelewa kwamba sisi sote ni wale waliohitimu kutoka kwa akili na mafunzo ya walimu. Bwana Spika, petition hii ama taarifa hii ni muhimu sana ndani ya hili bunge la Senate, ya kwamba tuweze kuangalia matatizo yanayokumba walimu katika sehemu zao zote wanazofanya katika Kenya nzima. Japokuwa hii petition imeletwa na watu wa Kilifi, na mimi nikiwa kama seneta wa Kilifi ninajua matatizo yanayowakumba walimu katika maeneo walioyataja hapa. Bwana Spika, ninaona taarifa hii ni ya haki na ni ya ukweli, ya kwamba kuna sehemu zingine ndani ya Kilifi ambazo zimefika katika kile kiwango cha kwamba yale mapato yao hayalingani na zile sehemu ambazo wanaketi. Ni sehemu ambazo hivi sasa ziko ghali na maisha yako ghali, na ndio sababu tunasema kwa sababu gani sisi mimi na support hii petition. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka kusema tu ya kwamba ndugu zangu maseneta, hili ni jambo muhimu sana linalohusika na walimu, na sisi sote lazima tuungane pamoja ili tuweze kuunga mkono petition hii. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having worked in Kilifi as a doctor, Mr. Speaker, I would be failing if I don't stand in this House
Senator
to support
Mazayo, Senator Tabitha, and Senator
Methu.
I call you to order, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was saying, as a public servant who has worked in Kilifi as a doctor for many years, I would be failing, Mr. Speaker, if I didn't stand in this House strongly and supported those teachers in that request. I know the committee is going to be up to the task, and very quickly they'll bring the report. But careful, colleagues. This thing is bigger. You've heard the thoughts of the leader of the majority. It is not an area where we can have uniformity and therefore concurrence across the floor. Mr. Speaker, we need to call the Council of Governors. We need to have a conversation with governors. Governors are starting abstract projects and not committing devolved funds for provision of water, fixing of roads, and with the support of the national government, electricity. The so-called hardship areas are hardship because workers and the inhabitants have no access to water. They find it difficult to travel, things which can be fixed by governors. So we need to put a high standard that the so-called marginalized areas, the governors must be persuaded not to pursue abstract projects. Instead, they invest in these basic services, Mr. Speaker, because for how long? It is 60 years since independence. Shall we continue separating civil servants, that this one should get more and this one get less because of where they are working? Mr. Speaker, which brings me, and because it is debate, I hope, Leader of Majority, you will not feel that we're challenging you. But Leader of Majority, I want us to think collectively. What was the spirit of Equalization Fund? Once upon a time when in this House, Equalization Fund meant what the Constitution wanted it to be. Namely, to quickly bring up the marginalized areas which we know to speed so they can be as close as possible as the rest of the country. But what has happened later on? It has been changed, Mr. Speaker. Marginalized areas have now been equated to areas with high levels of poverty. If you make that mistake, then, Mr. Speaker, it means the same way a marginalized area in a far end in Kilifi, in a far end in North Horr, deserves to draw from these funds, then even Kibra, Mukurukwanjenga, Maraba slums in Kakamega, and all the slums in our urban centers will then be entitled to this money. So this Senate must have this conversation. Otherwise, we will be here for 10 years, some will go, others will come back, and the issue of inequality will be, this House is a house of equality. We must bring the country together. Those people from the northeastern province, I wanted to go to vernacular, so that, yes, to Kiswahili, so that the people from that area could hear me very well, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wambua.
I thank you, the Speaker, for saving us from Senator Alwale. Speaker, that matter raised by teachers from Kilifi is a very, very important and weighty matter. The Speaker, I've listened carefully to what the Majority Leader had to say about the payment of hardship allowances to teachers. But Mr. Speaker, when that matter finally gets to the committee, I would want to implore the committee to look at that matter beyond teachers and beyond Kilifi. Because, Mr. Speaker, the national government, which posts staff to different parts of the country, different institutions of government are applying different criteria in determining which members of staff are earning hardship allowance while serving in the same area. So, Speaker, we have a very funny and disturbing situation in Kitui County, where there are members of staff from government ministries serving in some wards which are classified as hardship, but they don't earn hardship allowance. But you have teachers in those wards earning hardship allowance. The Speaker, we must be guided by the same formula that we use. And Mr. Speaker, we must be careful that we don't leave this thing to just one institution of government. We must be careful to ensure that the same formula that we used to identify marginalized areas as opposed to marginalized counties is used to determine the payment of hardship allowances. So that if an area is classified as marginalized, then every member of staff, irrespective of which department of government, then that member of staff should be able to earn hardship allowance. Speaker, finally, and this should go to the committee as well, that, Mr. Speaker, when I came to the Senate in 2017, I was told that Kitui County cannot benefit from the Equalization Fund because it did not meet certain thresholds. And yet, at the time I was getting in, the Speaker, any random person walking on the streets of Nairobi, if you ask them which areas in this country are marginalized, perhaps before they get to number 2 or 3, they will mention Kitui County. The Speaker, I urge a formula, a policy direction, a decision made at a level that it devolves then to all the other departments of government to ensure equity and uniformity in the payment of the marginalized hardship allowances. The Speaker, with those remarks, I really thank the teachers from Kilifi for raising this issue. I thank you, the Speaker.
Senator Meth. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to comment on this particular petition. I would be betraying the teachers from Kilifi if I chose to keep quiet. And I've been a resident of Kilifi. At least I know the areas that have been mentioned in that particular petition, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, as we look at this, and my colleagues have actually spoken about the injustices that sometimes we feel are meted on different civil servants, especially on issues to do with hardship allowance. Mr. Speaker, just as my colleagues, Senator Boni and Senator Cheriot, have spoken on issues to do with marginalization and equalization, there is something that has come out very clearly that needs to be addressed, and I would wish and pray that the committee would increase the scope of duty so that it tries and addresses most of the issues that are being raised by the members here, because I know in a very short while, Mr. Speaker, the teachers from Nyandarua will also bring a petition asking very legitimate questions. Just now, the senator who just sat down was giving an example of 2 schools in the same wards, but one are getting hardship allowance, the other ones are not getting hardship allowance. It is even as bad as this way, Mr. Speaker. A school in Daragwa, a secondary school that was born out of a primary school, they share the same land, they share the same title, they share the same fence, but the teachers of the secondary school qualify for hardship allowance. Those ones of the primary school do not qualify for for hardship allowance. Mr. Speaker, then, if that is not the injustice that we want to cure with this kind of a petition, I would not understand how this one shall be addressed. And I would want to even take it further, Mr. Speaker, that in terms of classification of schools, Mr. Speaker, some schools find themselves geographically in one area, and in terms of the zoning by the Ministry of Education, they are in a different area, Mr. Speaker. A school like Nyahururu Boys High School, Mr. Speaker, everybody knows that Nyahururu is geographically Laikipia County, but they are in Nyandarua in terms of the classification by TSC, Mr. Speaker. Nyandarua Boarding High School, Mr. Speaker, geographically is in Nyahururu, but they are classified as schools in Nyandarua, Mr. Speaker. I want to beseech, Mr. Speaker, that the committee does not only look at the issues to do with the Kilifi County, Mr. Speaker. Let them expand the scope of this investigation, Mr. Speaker. Let them get to understand how and why very dry areas of Nyandarua in Daragwa, teachers who are in very advanced conditions in some places in Nyandarua, in some places in Laikipia, in some places in Kakamega, and many other places, Mr. Speaker, they do not qualify for hardship, where they are just, next door neighbors qualify for hardship, Mr. Speaker. It is not supposed to be geographical location. There is some person that is in Kitui, there is some person that is in Marsabit, that enjoys, that lives in a better condition than a person in a very dry place in Nyandarua, just because Nyandarua produces the highest, is the biggest producer of potatoes, Mr. Speaker, does not necessarily mean that every place of Nyandarua is agricultural. There are some places that are so dry, Mr. Speaker, and this injustice must be looked into. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
I'm afraid we've expended the 30 minutes allowable under Standing Order 237, and therefore, pursuant to Standing Order 238.1, the petition should be committed to the relevant standing committee for its consideration. In this case, I direct that the same be committed to the Standing Committee on Education. In terms of Standing Order 238.2, the committee is required in not more than 60 calendar days from the time of reading this prayer to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioner and laid on the table of the Senate. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, 27 July 2023. Report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the County Government Equitable Share Cash Disbursement Schedule for Financial Year 2023-2024.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Senator Eddie Okech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a notice of motion to the House on the extension of mandate of the ad hoc committee to investigate the proliferation of religious organizations and the circumstances leading to the deaths of more than 95 people in Shakahola, Kilifi County. 95 people then, Mr. Speaker. That aware that the sitting of the Senate held on Thursday, 27th April 2023, the Senate by resolution established an ad hoc committee to investigate the proliferation of religious organizations and the circumstances leading to the deaths of more than 95 people in Shakahola, Kilifi County. Mr. Speaker, acknowledging that the committee has undertaken a tremendous amount of work in the execution of its mandate, including meetings with the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, the Attorney General, religious leaders, and visiting families of victims throughout the country. Mr. Speaker, appreciating that the mandate of the Select Committee is due to lapse on Wednesday, 26th July 2023, and Mr. Speaker, noting that the event surrounding the Shakahola massacre in the country continues to evolve with the discovery of more bodies in the Shakahola mass graves, with the death toll being upwards of 400 people, and the need for the committee to visit the new grave sites and engage more stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, now therefore, we seek that the Senate resolves to renew the mandate of the ad hoc committee by a further period not exceeding 21 days from 26 July 2023, and to table its final report in the Senate on or before 16th August 2023. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order. The Senator. Senator Roba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give notice of motion that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the County Government Equitable Share Cash Disbursement Schedule for financial year 2023-2024, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 27th of July 2023, and that pursuant to Section 17(7) of the Public Finance Management Act and Standing Order 189.3, the Senate approves the County Government Equitable Share Cash Disbursement Schedule for financial year 2023-2024.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53.1. Senator Maruma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to raise or to request for a statement on the sharing of revenue generated from the Tsavo National Park. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the status of revenue sharing generated from the Tsavo National Park between the national government and the county government of Taita Taveta. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the total amount of revenue collected from the Tsavo National Park on an annual basis from 2018 to date, highlighting the contributions from the various income streams, including value-added tax, gate fees, land rates, and other significant sources of income. Number 2, state the amount due to the county of Taita Taveta on a 50-50 sharing basis with the national government, in line with the presidential directive of 23rd July 2023 that was made at Mwatunge Grounds, Mwatate Sub-County, providing a comprehensive breakdown of funds that have been remitted to the county since 2018. And 3, clarify when artisanal miners will commence mining within the Tsavo National Park as stated in the said presidential directive, tabling the policy and framework, if any, that will guide the mining works. I thank you.
Senator John Kinyua. Senator John Kinyua, that statement is dropped. Senator Beatrice Ogola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding gender-based violence in Homa Bay County. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the statement, the committee should, 1, state the number of gender-based violence cases reported to police across the county of Homa Bay in the last 5 years, providing an update on the status of the respective court cases. And 2, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee should indicate measures put in place by the national and county governments to promote gender equality, protect gender-based violence victims, and bring perpetrators of gender-based violence to book. Senator Beatrice Ogola, MP.
Senator Methu, proceed to read the statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
And next time, be alert.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You know, you called Kinyua, and I was not remembering that I'm standing in for him. A statement on the state of learning at Giroriti Primary School. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education on the state of learning at Giroriti Primary School in Laikipia County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the number of qualified teachers deployed to the school and the current deficit. 2, indicate the state of availability of suitable facilities for use by the teachers and learners in the school. 3, appraise the Senate on the frequency of supply of teaching and learning materials by the government to the school. And 4, outline the measures put in place by the Ministry of Education to mitigate the harsh working and learning condition for teachers and learners at the school. Senator John Kinyua, MP, Senator for Laikipia County.
Senator Stewart Mazayo.
Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I will read the statement on behalf of Senator Mazayo. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on the withdrawal of security detail attached to the Azimio One Kenya Alliance leaders. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the motive behind the withdrawal of the security detail attached to all the Azimio One Kenya Alliance leaders after the peaceful countrywide demonstrations that took place on the 12th of July 2023 and 19th of July 2023, yet the leaders were exercising their constitutional right to demonstrate as captured in Article 37 of the Constitution. Number 2, explain whether the security detail attached to the leaders and members of parliament is a right or a favor bestowed upon them. Number 3, explain why the security officers attached to the leaders and members of parliament are being recalled without official communication or appropriate signals to Parliament and or the clerk or speaker of the Senate. Number 4, state whether this discriminatory practice of withdrawing security detail against a section of senators will be continuous in which case then this signals a worrying trend. Number 5, spell out measures, if any, the Ministry of Interior and Administration of National Government has put in place to ensure that the Azimio One Kenya Alliance leaders and members of Parliament whose security detail have been withdrawn are accorded adequate
What is
security.
the point of order, Senator Mandago?
Reading a statement.
Yes, my point of order, Mr. Speaker, is on reference to statement of facts. The Honorable Senator Wambua has said there were peaceful demonstrations. What we witnessed, Mr. Speaker, were not peaceful demonstrations. We witnessed looting, stoning, punching people's cars, destroying motorbikes. That is not peaceful demonstration, Mr. Speaker, by any means.
Senator Mandago, that is not a point of order. This is a statement. It will be up to the committee to come to that conclusion, whether indeed that statement is factual or it's made in error. So let the committee investigate and return a verdict. Maybe they'll go by your conclusion, maybe not. So allow the senator to read the statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's okay, let me complete. So number 5, spell out measures, if any, the Ministry of Interior and Administration of National Government has put in place to ensure that the Azimio One Kenya Alliance leaders and members of Parliament whose security detail have been withdrawn are accorded adequate security. And number 6, recommend immediate measures to further prevent security detail attached to leaders and members of Parliament from being withdrawn. Mr. Speaker, as I said, this was a statement that was being sought by the minority leader, Senator Stewart Mazayo. And as the Speaker, with your permission, I would just add a sentence and say, Mr. Speaker, it is important for all of us, Senator, to accord ourselves, Mr. Speaker.
You have read the statement.
I sought permission, Mr. Speaker, to say a word.
Which permission has been denied? Which permission has been denied? Kindly. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Wambua.
Mr. Speaker.
You are a seasoned member of this House. Kindly. Kindly. You cannot debate your own statement. I will allow, Senator Mogeni, I will allow limited comments on all these statements, 18 minutes, 9 minutes to the opposition, and 9 minutes to the government side. Yes, Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, we get a bit concerned with the references of opposition and government. As a leader of this House, you are aware that I drive in a GK vehicle. It's true. It's my entitlement as a leader in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I would propose that we maintain the minority and majority references because we are in a parliamentary, a presidential system that there's no government or opposition in this House.
Senator, very well, order senators. I did not know that Senator Sifuna is in government. That's good. And therefore, from today henceforth, the left side of the chair shall henceforth be referred as the minority side, and the side on the right of the chair shall henceforth be referred as the majority side. Now, the 9 minutes to allow as many of you to speak, I will allow 2 minutes per speaker so that we have as many of you to speak. So I will start with Senator Cherankei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I want just to react to the statement by the Senate Minority Leader and agree with government that sometimes it is necessary to withdraw the police, especially from the people who are doing illegal demonstrations, Mr. Speaker. How can you send a police officer to fight another police officer? And that is why we have had allegations where bullets have been used by the same bodyguards who are guiding minority leaders and Azimio to shoot ordinary Kenyans, and that is why one police officer has been killed, Mr. Speaker. Over 300 police officers are recuperating in hospital, Mr. Speaker. A chief house has been banned, Mr. Speaker, in Siaya and in Nyamira, Mr. Speaker. How can you allow people to get police, to go and use the police to fight their colleagues, Mr. Speaker? So I find this statement that we must be told, outside what they are alleging that there is police brutality. Mr. Speaker, I remember, and it is shocking, the people who are shouting the highest when our security, Mr. Speaker, was being withdrawn by Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, and then they used to celebrate here. There is nothing unusual for government to get signal and remove your bodyguards, Mr. Speaker. And I remember, Mr. Speaker, we even went to court to challenge, but the courts told us that Inspector General... What is the point
of order, Senator Eddy?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on point of order number 105, and I wanted to know whether my good friend, honestly, Senator Cherargei, although sometimes very emotive, is in order to point at me and say that during the time that Uhuru Kenyatta or whoever the government was that denied some people security, I was happy. I was not in this house. I was not a member of any place in this house. Is he in order to point at me and impute improper motive, Mr. Speaker, on me?
Certainly, Senator Cherargei, you're out of order. The Honorable Senator certainly did not contribute to whatever you went through, and please do not in any way refer or in any way bring him to your statement that indeed Senator Eddy was involved in the withdrawal of security then when you were going through that withdrawal. That was, I believe, in the third Senate. In the third Senate. That's what you're referring, Senator Cherargei. Yes, Senator Eddy wasn't in the House. He was not even a leader, a political leader then. So there's no way he could have had that influence to warrant that. So kindly do not refer to Senator Eddy in this.
In conclusion, I'm aware Senator Eddy was being thrashed at that time by the current the current governor of Migori, Ochilo Ayako, was thrashing Senator Eddy, and he didn't make it at that time. But I have not mentioned names, Mr. Speaker. I think answered can. In conclusion, what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, you cannot say the government in office is illegitimate, then you want the same government to provide with you security. How? We cannot allow, and you cannot talk about police brutality and fail to recognize that the police have been killed and injured, Mr. Speaker. So I oppose this statement.
Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From my perspective, the doctrine of separation of powers, we have a constitution that has created 3 arms of government. In my understanding of this particular doctrine, there is no arm of government that is superior to the other. In fact, Mr. Speaker, all of us in this House are members of the government of Kenya because of the fact that we are members of an arm of government. You must always make the distinction in your head between the government and the political parties that are in power. There is a big difference between ODM, the political party, and the minority leadership or the minority side here in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I have always asked myself, how did it begin that people elected to an arm of government such as Parliament required to be provided state security? And in fact, if you pursue that line of reasoning and tie it with what I have said about these arms of government being separate but interdependent, I would actually propose a time when, just the way that Parliament has its own assets, like the vehicle that I have been provided for as a leader in this House, we need to have our own police force that does not take directions from anybody other than the leadership of Parliament. Because, Mr. Speaker, this is my view.
Order,
this is
members.
My view.
May the senator be heard in silence.
Speaker, this heckling that I experience from the majority side is what boils my blood sometimes. Then I find myself in hot soup with your seat.
Calm down.
But Mr. Speaker, I will do my best. I have a group of Catholic bishops who are praying for me to ignore the people who try to provoke me on this side. But Mr. Speaker, the point that I was making is that just the way Parliament has its own assets, its own budget, I think when it comes to the security of members, the same should apply. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Keroche.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And I want just to say that I'm with these minority side senators, for I can imagine how they are feeling without the security. But I think they know the solution of all this. Thank you. They know the solution of all this. They know we have very understanding CS of security. They just need to close across and go and apologize for the hard work, the unnecessary work they've made the CS of the security do for the last maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks or a month. I think it, and this business community complaining all the time, what they've gone through, losses. I'm sure you've seen the press conferences that they've been calling. They are losing 2.8 billion because of those unpeaceful demonstrations.
Order,
and some of these,
Senator,
they are lawyers.
What is your point of order, Senator Mazayo?
Bwana Spika, singependa kumwingilia dadangu katikati na ule Ajua ambao hawajui Kiswahili.
Order, senators.
Ambao hawajui Kiswahili, Bwana Spika.
May the senator for Kilifi be heard in silence, please.
Ambao hawaelewi Kiswahili.
I don't see anything funny about that statement.
Yeah.
Unless.
Kwa hiyo ningependelea Bwana Spika nimuulize, je, ni sawa kusema ya kwamba kwa sababu ya yale yaliyojiri katika huko nje, sio hapa ndani ya bunge. Kazi ya bunge ni tofauti na ile kazi ya nje ni tofauti. Na tukiwa hapa tunafanya kazi ya bunge. Ni sawa Bwana Spika kwa mtu kuambiwa
I've been attentive. Just
amesema tuende tukaombe msamaha.
Under what standing order are you is your point of order premised?
The normal standing order. Yeah. Bwana Spika, nitatumia kipengele cha kwanza katika oda yetu, kile cha kwako Bwana Spika.
Honorable Senator, just gather yourself. Just have it. Take your seat. You know that standing order is not available to you.
Najua, utanipatia hiyo nafasi niweze ku...
Senator Mazayo, I asked you to state the standing order upon which you're raising your point of order. And you've said standing order number 1. Standing order 1 is not available to you. Proceed to conclude your statement, Senator Keroche. Take your seat, Senator Fokelefe. What is your point of order, Senator Eddy?
Mr. Speaker, I raise under Standing Order number 105 on responsibility for statement of fact, and specifically 105.1 on accuracy of facts. In fact, read together with Standing Order number 101, Mr. Speaker, in terms of some of the things that as a senator I might find offensive. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the Senator of Nakuru to imply in this House that my security is as a function of right because of the CS of Interior, or it is by constitutional right, Mr. Speaker? And I ask this very seriously, Mr. Speaker, because I have been in hospital, Mr. Speaker, while I was in the hospital, my security was withdrawn in the middle of the night, Mr. Speaker. Up to today...
Point of order, Senator Eddy.
My point of order is the senator has argued that for us to get our security back, and for me specifically, I want to talk about myself because my security was also withdrawn as a member of Azimio, I must go and apologize to the Minister of Interior in order to get my security back. And Mr. Speaker, for me to get my security back is not a function of the CS of Interior. It's a function of right in the Constitution.
Senator Eddy, that is our opinion. As you're aware, this matter is going to be committed to a committee. I therefore overrule.
But Mr. Speaker,
proceed to conclude your...
Thank you. And I want to take just even less than a minute to respond to Senator of Migori, Senator Eddy. I just want to respond, just to tell him, he knows very well that this government, it has a president. This government has one president who is elected, his helpers. And the helpers are the CSs. So the CS of Interior stands for the government of Kenya. So we have many lawyers on the other side, and they know Article 37, what it is saying.
Senator Mogeni. Order, senators. Senator Mogeni.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this is a fairly serious matter, extremely serious matter. And Mr. Speaker, when you tell us to give a contribution of this nature for 2 minutes, you are not doing justice to this House. And I want to remind you, Mr. Speaker, if you read Gazette Notice number 27th of July, 2022, the privileges of security that attaches to your office as Speaker, that attaches to the office of Majority Leader, that attaches to the office of Whip of the Majority, and the leadership of the minority side, Mr. Speaker, is all worded in the same paragraph. They are all together. And if you go to the answer, Mr. Speaker, you may benefit from the contributions of Majority Leader on the 28th of April, 2021. I hope, Senator, you are listening. On his contribution at that time, Senator Cheruiyot moved this House to adjourn to discuss violations of the rights of 3 senators who were arrested to be stopped from participating effectively in the deliberations of the work of this Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I sit here at times, I listen to us, and we take the business of this House like a roller coaster, where we want to give it twists and turns. There are issues that touch on the welfare of members that should be separated from the politics of the day, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as you sit there, and to remind you that your predecessor, Speaker Marende, had his security withdrawn.
He used to sit as a Speaker of this House. We have
Senator Mundige.
Order,
senators.
Bwana Spika, si vizuri sana kunyang'anywa askari, lakini nakumbusha seneti hii tarehe 7 kulikuwa na maandamano. Hakuna mtu akuelewa ama alikuwa na macho akuona kama vile express way ilifanyika, ilichomwa, watu wakapigana na wale wengine wakauawa juu ya kuwa hakukuwa na ulinzi mzuri. Alafu tarehe 12 na 13 siku 3 Azimio walikuwa metangaza mambo ya maandamano. Lakini naunga mkono kunyang'anywa mpunduki na askari, kwa sababu hiyo kitu ingefanyika siku hiyo, Kenya haingekuwa vile iko leo. Kwa sababu ilikuwa wale walinyang'anywa walikuwa wamekaa kwa hii mlima na wale wengine wangekaa kwa hii mlima, Kenya ingechomeka. Ya pili, nataka kusema tarehe 6 jioni tulikuwa na Madam Speaker, yale kitu ilifanyika katika makao hii ambaye kwa seneta wa Nairobi wangekutana pale nje, watu wangeuana. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono yale walifanyika. Ya pili, naona hawa leo hapa kwa sababu ana punduki, ingekuwa na punduki saa hii ungewaona nje. Unakumbuka hata wakati tulikuwa napitisha mambo mingi au ungewaona, kwa sababu walikuwa na askari wakienda kule nje kurusha mawe, lakini leo wamepoa. Na tunasema hiyo ilikuwa ni funzo. Kwa hiyo kujeni karibu, tunaweza kaa chini, serikali ya Kenya Kwanza na serikali ya Azimio tunaweza kusemesana kidogo. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Kajwang. Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, I want to join those who believe in the institution of the Senate. I want to join those who believe in the Constitution. Today we could be celebrating the withdrawal of security of those on the minority side. And Mr. Speaker, you never know what's going to happen. We have sat in this House, and many of us sat in this House with a sense of self-entitlement that we had government. And Mr. Speaker, it came to a time that those who are celebrating the government and its injustices were the first to be thrown out of the window. Mr. Speaker, some of us sitting on the minority side found ourselves chairing committees that were reserved for those on the majority side. And those who lost those positions, not too far back, had been celebrating how that government was the alpha and omega, and how that government was, as white as cotton. Mr. Speaker, let us draw the line between the rights and privileges that are extended to members of this House by the Constitution and by the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Committee, and separate it from the political shenanigans. Mr. Speaker, I would not want to see Senator Cherargei in a Subaru, in the boot of a Subaru, whether I agree with him or not. I would not want to see Senator Lelegwe again in the boot of a Subaru. Mr. Speaker, let us not celebrate injustice. Let us not celebrate actions that kill the institution of the Senate and actions that fly in the face of the Constitution. That is my appeal to members as we debate this, that let us think of the Senate, let us think of constitutionalism, let us think of the sacrosanct role of Parliament in a democracy. We cannot allow the executive to be extending and withdrawing our security at will or at its own whim. Mr. Speaker, I urge the House that we think about the institution.
Senator Miraj.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii na mimi niweze kutoa kauli yangu. Kile ambacho nataka kusema ni kwamba hawa maaskari waliondolewa kwenu sio kinyume na sheria, kwa sababu maandamano yalikuwa tayari yameharamishwa na taasisi husika katika taifa la Kenya. Hakuna Mkenya mahali popote ambaye hakupata ilani ya kuwa maandamano tayari yalikuwa yameharamishwa, na ni jukumu la serikali kulinda wananchi pamoja na mali za raia wa Kenya, na ni jukumu la IG wa taifa hili la Kenya, Inspector General, kuweza kuhakikisha usalama, hata ikiwa wao ni wasimamizi wenu, wanawachunga nyinyi, lakini hata wao wako na haki zao za kikatiba ambazo zinastahiki kulindwa, na mlinzi wao ndiye aliyewaambia wao wasije kuwalinda. Kwa hivyo mimi napenda kuongea kitu kimoja kama Mkenya. Tusiombe sana tupawe haki ambazo hatutaki kuchukua majukumu yao. Our rights comes with responsibilities.
Senator Mirajo, out of order.
Haya, haki zetu zinakuja na majukumu. Tuwe tayari kujukumika katika kila haki ambayo tunaitisha katika hili taifa. Na nimesikia kwa muda mrefu upande wa upinzani wakililia haki, haki, haki. Tutambue ya kwamba pale haki yako inaishia ni haki ya mwingine inaanza. Kuna Wakenya watulivu ambao hawakutaka kujihusisha na maandamano. Hata huyo bodyguard ambaye unalia umenyimwa ni haki yako. Hata yeye ako na haki ya kuchungwa katika taifa la Kenya. Asante mwenyekiti.
Senator Muma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute. Mr. Speaker, it is sad that we can have honorable senators cheering and giggling about the violation of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, it's absolutely important that the relevant committee and the PSC informs senators whether the privilege of having security as state officers is a privilege that is political. Mr. Speaker, the weaponization of the police service, which is a service that is supposed to be neutral, provided to state officers neutrally, whether they belong to this divide of the politics or the other, is something that is going to put us in a very bad place. Mr. Speaker, I would like to call all of us to observe what is happening around other countries. Today in Sudan, the police are not in charge. So don't weaponize the police. Don't politicize the police. The police must be reminded to do what they're supposed to do. And I think it is deplorable to have honorable members seriously misrepresent what the Constitution provides as though we have ousted the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I call upon all of us to be the adults we are supposed to be. We have students in the gallery, and we cannot have deliberate political misinterpretation of the law to suit yourselves. We need to decide either the police is withdrawn for all politicians or it is retained for all of them equally.
Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me a chance also to add my voice. Mr. Speaker, we want to say that the Constitution should not be applied selectively, Mr. Speaker. Article 37, which is being quoted by the minority side, Mr. Speaker, talks about freedom to demonstrate. But, Mr. Speaker, that particular provision does not take away the rights of the other Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, also to be protected. Mr. Speaker, we are not celebrating the removal of bodyguards for our colleagues. But, Mr. Speaker, there must have been a reason behind this. There must have been an intelligence report why the government took that decision. Mr. Speaker, the same principle my colleague was saying of separation of powers, it is the function of the executive, Mr. Speaker, to guarantee security to every Kenyan. Mr. Speaker, if the decision to withdraw the security from our colleagues was done, it was done based on what the executive, Mr. Speaker, thought was not proper, because security for other people, Mr. Speaker, was also at stake. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree that this country belongs to all of us. It is not fair for the minority side, Mr. Speaker, to accuse the government side. Yet, Mr. Speaker, What they term as peaceful demonstration, Mr. Speaker, is the complete opposite. It is killing, it is maiming, it is destroying. Mr. Speaker, let us all be fair to ourselves, Mr. Speaker. If leaders from the minority side, Mr. Speaker, was to speak of peaceful demonstration.
Senator Oburu Odinga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm so surprised and shocked at my brothers speaking about, the guns, use of the guns. Mr. Speaker, it is very clear how the police should use the gun. The gun for the police is to protect the property and life of Mwananchi. And it can only be used against the Mwananchi if the Mwananchi is a threat to the police. But this is a situation, Mr. Speaker, where people who have no arms, who have nothing, just with their hands demonstrating, exercising their democratic rights, are shot by the police. And Mr. Speaker, now our brothers on the floor
What
here.
is your point of order, Senator Chiranke?
Mr. Speaker, I raise understanding order number 98, 105, and 101 of the Senate standing orders. Is it in order for my big brother and senior youth, Senator Oburu Odinga, to allege that the police have been shooting people who are not armed? Yet we have seen, even in media and other outages, that people are throwing stones and rocks and even shooting at the police, and that is why one police is dead and 370 are admitted as we talk. Is it in order to state something that is not, Mr. Speaker, that is not true? I wish he would have even used the word allegedly instead of using it in finality, Mr. Speaker. Is it in order?
By the committee, but I'm sure the committee will come to the same conclusion as I am. And I also want to tell Honorable Cherargei that when your security was withdrawn, you were crying. And Cherargei, two wrongs don't make a right. So the fact that yours was withdrawn
Senator Chirange,
does not make it a right now to withdraw the security of the others when it is
the good senator be heard in silence, please.
In the privileges for the senators, Mr. Speaker, to have their security. And Mr. Speaker, it is very sad that our members who are representatives of the people elected, some of them elected, can stand up here on the floor of the House and celebrate when their leaders are saying that the police did a good job by killing people. Mr. Speaker, it is very sad, Mr. Speaker, because we have...
Order, honorable senators. Order, Senator Chirange. Can the honorable senator be allowed to conclude his comments, please? Now, honorable senators, before we move to the statements pursuant to Order 56.1, I have the following communication to make. In the public gallery, we have 41 pupils, accompanied by 6 teachers from Olkiramantiani Primary School, Kajiado County, who are in the Senate on an education tour. Honorable senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Also in the public gallery, we have 86 students accompanied by 8 teachers from Mwesondo Secondary School, Bomet County, who are in the Senate on an education tour. Honorable senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will call upon the Senator for Kajiado to welcome both delegations. Under 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Senate Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to recognize the presence of students or pupils from or Kiramatian Primary School, which you come from Magadi Ward, Kajiado West Sub-County. I want to congratulate you and welcome you to the Senate. Your senator is Lenku Kanarseki. For those who are not aware, this is the Senate chamber. And I have one of our colleagues, two of our colleagues in the Senate, Senator Mundet and Senator Peris Tobiko. And I wish you well, and I wish you a fruitful journey back home. And I'm very sure you'll learn quite a lot as you continue to follow the proceeds of this Senate. Thank you so much, and God bless you as you go back home. Thank you, teachers.
In keeping with the traditions that we've always set, I will allow Senator Sigei to welcome the delegation from Bomet.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I was already concerned when you directed that Honorable Senator Seki was to welcome the team from Kajiado. And I want to take the opportunity to welcome the students of Meswando Secondary School. Meswando Secondary School, Mr. Speaker, is in the tea growing zone of Bomet County, a sub-county by the name Konoin constituency. I would like to encourage them to take back home lessons that they will have picked from this house, particularly with regards to what goes on here. This is the house where senators debate on matters affecting our counties, and in this case, the 47 counties in the Republic of Kenya. And I'm very sure at the end of your session, you will have learned not only what goes on in the Senate, how debate is done, but you will also have been inspired so that you go back, work hard, and come back to this house as senators, as clerks, as the speaker, or as any other person that works within this particular house. I welcome you, and I encourage you to learn from what is going on here today. Of course, after a small session, we'll definitely have to shake hands out there and share a bit of tete-a-tete before you go back home. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)(b). The Chairperson Standing Committee on Information, Communication and Technology. Where is the chair for ICT? Miraj, are you reading that statement? Okay, so we move to the second, the Chairperson Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights.
Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 561B of the Senate Standing Orders to make a statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights for the months of April to June 2023. Honorable Speaker, during the period under reference, the committee held 25 sittings at which it considered various legislative proposals, bills, statements, petitions, and held stakeholder engagements as set out below. A. Legislative proposals. Honorable Speaker, the committee conducted pre-publication scrutiny of 4 legislative proposals, which were referred to the committee pursuant to Standing Order 1.
These committees suspended their activities because the minority side, under their leadership, called for demonstrations to press what the court has already given a suspension of implementation, the finance bill. We are talking about the cost of living, which the government is already instituting measures to be able to make corrections, create employment, make the cost of food to go down through subsidies of fertilizers, These other issues, we saw the other day, Baba, former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, come out very clearly and said, now the president of Tanzania was here to negotiate on these issues. We say, fine, that's okay. But what are these issues that we want to negotiate about? Is it negotiating about the cost of living? Is it negotiating about the cost of food? Which the government is already putting measures to resolve. If you have better ideas, I think it is better for former Prime Minister to sit down with our president, because we now see him recognizing President Ruto that he won fairly. Sit down with President Ruto, tell him how best he thinks President Ruto is not implementing projects to bring down the price of food. Mr. Speaker, what we heard from our colleague is vigils, which to me I think is crocodile tears, because if they had not called for demonstrations, would not have lost those lives. But they are calling, you will find that when they are doing these vigils, people are pretending to be holier than thou.
Order, Honorable Pukose. What is out of order, Ivo Bara? Honorable Ivo Bara.
Madam Speaker, I think we are here to discuss matters on police brutality. Why do you bring in Baba's name here? We have been asked to discuss this matter soberly.
Order.
Please,
Order,
please.
Honorable.
Madam
Order.
Speaker.
Order. Order, Honorable. You will get the chance to debate. Please, Honorable members, we are all here. We know the context. And I think Honorable Rosa Buyo has done very well in executing this motion. We will give all of you a chance to contribute. So finish up, Honorable Pukose. You have a few minutes. Finish up.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I saw some of them putting on even white clothes and attending vigils. To me, it's crocodile tears. Because if they had not called for the demonstrations, would not have lost those lives. With those few remarks, I want to note my comments.
Order. Order, members. The next chance, there is no one on the floor, there cannot be anything possibly out of order. We will give the next chance to the member for Alego Usonga, Honorable Samuel Atandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the motion which has been moved by my colleague, the Honorable Rosa Buyu. And Honorable Speaker, this matter is very serious. It's very serious that when I hear my colleague, Dr. Pukose, speak like we are here to joke, Honorable Speaker, it's very sad. Honorable Speaker, as one of the people who participated in these peaceful demonstrations, I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that the police decided to engage in genocide in this country. And Honorable Speaker, we know that the police serves the regime that is in power. The regime which is
What
in
is
power.
out of order? Leader of majority.
Honorable Speaker, you know, our standing orders are very clear, Honorable Speaker, on matters of statement of fact, Standing Order 87. And the member, if you can protect me from Honorable Tiende Amolo and ask him to hold his emotions and allow me to say what I'm saying, Senior Counsel. Honorable Speaker, I was saying, the Honorable Member Samuel Atandi has said that the police engage in genocide. Honorable Speaker, unless the member can substantiate what genocide is and how the police engage in genocide, and I think that is what the Honorable Speaker was telling us, to stop playing to the gallery and stop saying things that are emotive. So that, because when you say the police engage in genocide, I could also stand here and say someone else, and I don't want to mention any names, also engage in genocide. And I don't think Honorable Speaker is going to help us. think it's only fair that the Honorable Atandi either withdraws the matter of genocide or substantiates.
Honorable Atandi, I refer you to Standing Order 87, 1, 2, actually all the way to 6. Kindly be careful with your wordings. Genocide, you'll have to substantiate. Yes. A genocide, you know how to define a genocide. You will either substantiate or you will withdraw.
Madam Speaker.
Order, members. Information is only to the member. Information. Do you want to be informed, Honorable Atandi, by the leader of minority?
Madam Speaker, I have 5 minutes. I need to execute my point.
Well,
so I will ignore the majority leader because he's not giving me any point.
You cannot ignore.
I'm going.
Is 21 and lows. Of 136, 70% are lows. You can read.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I have a list. I have a list of the people who have died in these demonstrations killed by the police. And 90% of the people who have been killed are members of the Luo community. Do you want me to define genocide for you?
Order.
You want me to read for you the list of the people who have been killed?
Order.
The list I have here, 90%.
And now we interrupt Senate proceedings and cross over to Tana River County, where President William Ruto has commenced his 5-day development working tour in the coast region. The out-of-state development tour kicked off in Tana River County and will cover, among other counties, Lamu, Kilifi, Mombasa and Kwale counties. Let's listen in.
Mwegezaji ambaye tumekubaliana na yeye na vijana wote wa pale watafanya kazi pamoja na tutafanya kazi pamoja na wale waegezaji wako pale na vile vile county yenu ya Tana River na county vile vile ya Kilifi. We are going to work together. Na tumekubaliana ya kwamba ajira zote za pale tutahakikisha kwamba vijana wa sehemu hii wamejumuishwa. Bora msianze kusema kazi hii ni ndogo, kazi ile ni kubwa, kazi nyingine. Kazi ni kazi. Ama namna gani? Kama tuko na mtu ako na uwezo ya kuwa manager, tutampatia manager. Kama kuna mtu ako na uwezo ya kuwa supervisor, tutapatia supervisor. Si ndio? Wale wote tutahakikisha kwamba we make sure we join hands with all the people of this region so that we can develop this infrastructure pamoja. Vile nimesema, hiyo mpango yote itabadilisha hii Tana River. Badala ya kuwa nchi ya njaa, ndio itagua gala letu la kitaifa kulisha sehemu zingine za taifa letu la Kenya. Mimi nataka ni waambie vile nimefika hapa mbali na hii mradi wa Tarda, na mimi nitakuwa mtu wa kuja hapa mara nyingi because I will personally supervise to make sure this happens. Pia nimekuja hapa kwa sababu naelewa ya kwa
Well, we do apologize for that technical hitch. And remember, those live pictures on your screen are President William Ruto, who has commenced his 5-day development tour in the coast region. Remember, the head of state development tour kicked off in Tana River County and will cover, among others, Lamu, Kilifi, Mombasa and Kwale counties. Remember, this tour will focus in inaugurating, commissioning and inspecting government projects that benefit ordinary Kenyans, aligning with the bottom-up economic agenda, among other issues. Well, for now, we cross over to the Senate and follow we head to the National Assembly, where we shall be following up on the proceedings happening at the moment. Let's listen in.
Before we move on, Madam Speaker. Yeah, because, Madam Speaker,
Where are those instructions?
I think the Speaker made it very clear when we, when we started, that we must be able to handle this issue with a lot of decorum, without
Do not
emotion.
debate, Honorable Tongoyo.
Okay.
Don't debate.
Fine, let the member
Do
withdraw.
not debate.
And we won't satisfied.
No,
satisfied.
your time is up. Don't debate. Continue, Honorable Atandi.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. So, Madam Speaker, let us not pretend that the police on their own can wake up and go and shoot people.
Honorable Atandi, are you able to table a certified document to the floor of this House on the numbers and the names?
I will.
If you are not able to, you will withdraw. Not read. Order, members, not read.
Madam Speaker, give me a chance to make my point.
Not read.
Give me a chance to make my point,
Table.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, give me a chance to make my point. My point is very clear, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Atandi, we are in agreement. I am not gagging you. And the issue of contention is the issue of genocide. And there are two ways. You either table a certified list here on the floor of the House, or you withdraw. There are just two ways about it.
Madam Speaker, this list I want to table has been certified by Senior Counsel Otiende Amolo. So the list is here. I can table. Let me table the list to you so that you can look at it.
Honorable Atandi, walk to the table. Walk to the table.
Give me that one, I read. Madam Speaker, having tabled the certified list of members of our community, Madam Speaker, having tabled the certified list of our members who are killed by the police, and I want to read them as follows.
Order.
Fatalities.
Order, Honorable Atandi. We will do this the right way. We are a house of record. In the 11th Parliament, the Speaker ruled very clearly, any document tabled here must have a letterhead of the source and must be stamped. And the list I have here is a random list. It is a random list the way it is, and has only been signed by Honorable Otiende Amolo as we watch right now. So it is not admissible, and it is not my rules. Order. Order, members. Order, members. Order, Honorable Mutuse, order Millie Odhiambo. We are not castigating the capacity of senior counsel, but this is not admissible and it will not be used in the House. Honorable Atandi, you will withdraw the word genocide and you will continue.
Madam Speaker.
You do not have to rise on your feet, Honorable Junet. Order, Honorable Junet. Order. Honorable Atandi, we are waiting for you. Hold on.
Madam Speaker, I will not withdraw what I've said.
What is out of order?
What I will do, I'm allowed to...
What is out of order, Honorable Junet?
Madam Speaker, this is a house of procedure, Madam Speaker. And as you have said very well here, that the document tabled by a member must have a letterhead and must be authenticated. Madam Speaker, let me ask you a question as the Speaker presiding over this. How do you expect the dead bodies to have letterheads? These are people who are dead. Where do you want them to get letterheads from? These are people who are already dead. Where do we get the letterheads from, Madam Speaker? These are dead people.
Order, Honorable
Where do you
Junet.
get letters for dead people?
Order. Honorable Junet. Honorable Junet. How did they write these names, if at all they are dead? Honorable Junet. Order. We have sources of statistics in this country. You don't have to be alive. You actually can be a part of statistic, even when you're not alive. So, Honorable Atandi, wind up. Withdraw that genocide.
Give me the lead. Where's my microphone? Give me the microphone. Madam Speaker, for the record, I will not withdraw what I have said. And I want to clarify, Madam Speaker, I want to clarify that the police decided to go to Kisumu, remove people from their houses and shoot them dead. And Busia, there's nothing I'm going to add on that. I'm not going to withdraw. Madam Speaker, as I conclude.
Honorable Atandi.
Madam Speaker,
Order. What is your point of order, Leader of Majority?
Honorable Speaker, you know we are a house of rules. And maybe you could ask Honorable Atandi to take his seat so that we become orderly. Standing Order 107A. And just for the record, I may read for Honorable Atandi. On grossly disorderly conduct. A member conducts an act of gross disorderly conduct if the member A defies a ruling or direction of the Speaker or chairperson of committees. Honorable Speaker, you have given a direct order asking the Honorable Atandi to either withdraw the use of the word genocide without substantiating and proceed with his speech. And he has categorically told you he shall not withdraw. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask, Honorable Speaker, that you take action on the Honorable Atandi, and in line with Standing Order number 108, the Honorable Samuel Atandi be named for defying a direct directive from the chairperson. Because, Honorable Speaker, if you allow this House to transact business this way, tomorrow I will allege that Junet has directed someone to shoot someone else and say all manner of unpalatable things without substantiating, and I chest thump here and say I will not withdraw. Honorable Speaker, we must protect the dignity of this debating chamber, Honorable Speaker.
You have made your point. I was reluctant to apply it because I think this House is meant for this kind of ventilation. But Standing Order 108 and 107 is very clear. Honorable Atandi, and Honorable Junet, you're totally out of order. Totally out of order. Totally out of order. Totally out of order. Honorable Atandi. Order, members. Honorable Atandi, I will, instead of using Standing Order 107, I will apply Standing Order 91 on responsibility of statement of fact, and 91.1 is clear that a member shall be responsible for the accuracy of any facts which the member alleges to be true and may be required to substantiate any facts instantly. Number 2, if a member has sufficient reason to convince the Speaker, then the member is unable to substantiate the allegations instantly, I can require you to take your time. So I will use 91 and give you up to the end of the session to either substantiate or withdraw. If you don't, then 107 will be applied. Other members, we will go on with the debate. We will go on with the debate. The next chance will go to, I think the women might bring some sanity. I'll give to Honorable Phyllis Barto.
Madam Speaker, I rise to put my voice also in this motion and to say that, Madam Speaker, the genesis of the demonstrations and the death of people was called by someone. And this someone made people to go to the streets. Madam Speaker, for the first time, our police really worked hard to sort out situations. And they were overwhelmed. They were abused. They were thrown at stones. These people who were called to go and demonstrate were looting shops. For example, Madam Speaker, Quick Mart supermarkets in Nairobi, they were the most affected. They were looted. They broke into those shops and they took wares. They stole everything. Madam Speaker, to come here and start condemning our police who work under oath, Madam Speaker, is very unfortunate. Madam Speaker, we saw honorable members of parliament go to the streets and hold vigils and with candles. Madam Speaker, are they planned for these deaths so that they could have something to do? It's like they are prepared a timetable, Madam Speaker. They have a timetable of what they are supposed to be doing. Their calendar is full of activities, from making people to die. Then from there, they call for vigils, they go and light candles. Then they have a day for burial, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, is it the police who are doing that? It is unfortunate for us to come here and start wanting to condemn our policemen. Yet, the root cause of the problem is mandamano. Who calls for this mandamano? These leaders who are here and they want to condemn the police, our leaders, our honorable members who are here and they want to condemn the police are the people who are out there always calling for members of the public to go to the streets. Who will protect those people who are doing business? Who are going to protect those people who are in their shops? Madam Speaker, it is high time we create a space, a picketing space for those people who want to undermine, so that instead of going to destroy property, instead of going to disturb peace of people who are doing their everyday business in life, they go to those spaces, make noise, picket, scream, and at the end of the day, they go back. Madam Speaker, I come from Moiben. In Moiben, we are maize farmers. Our people are very busy in the farms. They are growing maize. The price of maize at the moment is good because people are working hard. Why do they want to call other people to go to the streets and want the cost of life to come down? How can the price of maize be reduced? And yet, people are working very hard. Madam Speaker, I think what we are saying here is that let the police do their duty. It is not the police who are killing those people. Can they go and find out who are killing these people? They know. They even have a list of the dead. How did they know? Can you tell us? Can they tell us who are killing these people? Can they come out clear and tell us who are the people behind these deaths? Otherwise, Madam Speaker, our police are very innocent. Even them, they lost lives. Can they tell us who killed these police? Yes. Because the other day we were shown in the papers. Can you tell us who killed those people and who killed the police? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Other members, member for Kimilili.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to wade into this matter. And even as we proceed, we have to be aware of what is factual, Madam Speaker. One is that we had armed young men who entered the mortuary in Kisumu town, threw the bodies of the dead people, and took everything away. This is a fact, Madam Speaker. It is also a fact that the same young men went into a supermarket belonging to Mr. Hussein. They looted everything to the tune of more than 200 million, Madam Speaker. This is a fact. In Nairobi here, we have men who went to a supermarket in Gitangala. They looted they looted everything, took everything away, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is also a fact that we have seen on TV police officers being chased by this motion, Madam Speaker. This motion has been brought here to serve two purposes. One is to sanitize the same fellas who are causing anarchy, who are arming young people in this country, who are destroying properties of innocent Kenyans, including police stations, Madam Speaker. This motion is also brought here,
Order.
Madam Speaker.
What is out of order, Honorable Masara?
It is quite, thank you, Madam Speaker. It is quite unfortunate that Honorable Didmas Barasa is misleading this House. Let him produce documents showing those who looted those supermarkets. It is in record in this country. Let us not reduce parliament to where somebody can talk. As somebody who was charged by murder, killing people by gun, cannot come in this parliament and start lecturing people on issues of
Honorable Masara. Order. Honorable Masara. Honorable Masara, you know the standing orders. I don't need to remind you. You're a repeat member. You're a repeat member, so I will ignore that one. So continue, Honorable Didmas.
Madam Speaker, I said, and I want to repeat again here, that the aim of this motion is to intimidate the IG of the National Police Service, and I want to ask the IG not to be intimidated by this motion, and that Kenyans are with him. He must protect properties and the life of the Kenyan people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Order, members. Order, members. What is out of order? It better be out of order, Honorable Rosa.
Madam Speaker, I moved this motion because I wanted to discuss the brutality of the police, which is in the glaring limelight of everyone. Is the member in order? Is the member in order to claim that I, Rosa Akinyi-Buyu, brought in this motion so that it can be a cleansing act of some people that is imagining? Is in order to...
Honorable members, what? Order members.
No, Madam Speaker.
Order members. Honorable Rosa, you've already raised your point of order.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, order. The Speaker approved this motion. It has gone through the scrutiny that is required. It is properly before this House. So even as we debate, Honorable Didmas, let us restrict ourselves to the motion. And don't cast aspersions to your colleagues, even on the other side.
Madam Speaker, if you look at the content of the motion, it has got statistics that are not proven. And when you are debating a motion, you debate it in a language, it will package your facts the way you want to package your facts. So by me saying that the reason why this motion was brought here is to intimidate the National Police Service from discharging their constitutional duties, and I want to tell them, all the agencies, that Kenyans are with them. And I want to make it very clear, Honorable Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there are members from the opposition who have been hiding in my house in the servant quarters for fear of being arrested. I want to ask them to forget. If they are continuing to engage in the things they are engaging in, let them be arrested, Madam Speaker. I will no longer provide refuge for suspected criminals who are destroying properties in this country, Madam Speaker.
Order,
Madam
members.
Speaker, protect me.
Order, members. Order, Honorable Didmas. Order, members. Honorable Milio Diambo, Honorable Bensouda, let us not shout across the aisle. Honorable Didmas, I will just say, the people, how they came to your servants' quarters, please get them the same way, the same route they came. Get them the same way. Order, members, order, Honorable Millie. Honorable Didmas, please, wind up. You only have a few minutes, wind up.
Madam Speaker, I want to summarize by saying that those leaders who will continue to radicalize the children of this country by arming them with machetes and rungus to loot and destroy public and the private properties. There should be nowhere these people should hide. The police should carry out their duties. The police should execute their constitutional mandate to protect life and properties, and those leaders who are found radicalizing young men, arming them with rungus and machetes, they should be dealt with, and the sponsors should be dealt with according.
Your time is up. Time is up. The next chance will go to the member for Siaya, Honorable Christine Ombaka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. We are discussing police brutality. And I must say how sad it is for this country to belittle the horror of the police. The police demonstrated that they are actually killing the nation. A musician once sang, "Killing the nation." And the people who kill the nation are the police who are supposed to protect the very nation that they are serving. The country looks so bad in the eyes of the international community. When you kill women and men, when you kill old people, when you kill young people who are simply demonstrating because of the high cost of living, then you really don't know what you're doing. Demonstration is a right. It is a right all over the world. And Kenya is not the only place where demonstration has taken place. It does take place all over. There's no single police that comes in the streets to kill and shoot, to kill young people who are simply expressing their rights. Therefore, this country needs to apologize to the country. The leadership of this country needs to apologize to families that have been murdered, that have been killed, those who are maimed, those who are in hospital. The image of this government is so poor, it's so heartbreaking, it's so horrifying. The police needs to apologize and to compensate the families that have been killed or hurt or maimed. Otherwise, this country is going down the drain. You have no right to kill your own people. Brothers are killing their own brothers, and you're killing your own sisters and your mothers. You should be ashamed as a government. We cannot continue to do that when you know very well that the people who are demonstrating are not armed. The people who are demonstrating are just simply walking. I was in Siaya, and there was no violence at all. So you cannot talk about violence when the police themselves are violent. You cannot carry live guns and you shoot. You throw tear gas. You throw tear gas and you expect not to die. You mean those who are here, you members who are here, who don't seem to have a heart for humanity. You too, your time is coming. You cannot kill and continue to say and celebrate that you have killed. You face other people who have guns like you and fight them. But don't fight people who are not armed at all. The image of this country is so bad. The image of the government is so bad. You owe the nation an apology, and you must compensate for the lives you have killed. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Ombaka. The next chance will go to the member for Kipkelion, Honorable Hillary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The matter before the House this afternoon is a very serious matter, Madam Speaker. And Honorable Rosa Buyu, while condemning Rosa Akinyi Buyu, Madam Speaker, you see, as we condemn police, we must also be factual to the Republic of Kenya. Why did the police reach the point where they reached? And Madam Speaker, I'm speaking as a member of Parliament, neighboring Muhoroni and Nyanza constituencies. Madam Speaker, what is happening in Nyanza right now during demonstration are a criminal network, Mungiki-like organized network, extorting money from members of the public. From my home, Madam Speaker, up to Ahero, I go through 200 roadblocks erected by ODM goons. And you want the police to sit by and watch as my right is infringed. Madam Speaker, we will not allow. And Madam Speaker, I want to say that the police conducted themselves with utmost restraint. And Madam Speaker, I would want to urge the police of Kenya to take charge, dismantle these criminal networks. And Madam Speaker, the nation has a thread of these activities. There is a leader in this country, Madam Speaker, during a campaign election, he comes up with an M-Pesa number. People don't know where money is going. In these networks, they have been extorting people. My senator from Bomet came from Kapsabet to Sitotwet. Madam Speaker, he parted with 70,000 from illegal taxes by a group saying they are changering for Baba, probably to put up a hotel in Malindi, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, as much as we speak, and that is shame, Madam Speaker, as much as we condemn police, we must condemn hooligans who have taken law onto their hands, Madam Speaker.
Hold on, Honorable Hillary. Honorable Jeanette, what is out of order?
Madam Chair, I'm on a point of order. Madam Chair, you know, Honorable Kipkelion from Kipkelion is not a new member. Like the way I will keep quiet when new members are learning the ropes. Madam Chair, this is a man who's serving second term. Well, Madam Speaker.
What is out of order?
When this is a House of Records, Madam Speaker. When he's raising such kind of allegations that taxes are being collected of 70,000, in the standing order, there's the standing order of relevance, Madam Speaker. What relevance that has got to do with police brutality, Madam Speaker? Unless he is the goon who's instructing them what to do, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if you don't guide this debate in relevance, to relevance, Madam Speaker, then people are going to speak here about their land, their farms, their potatoes and everything, Madam Speaker. Let us discuss issues pertaining to police brutality. That's all.
Thank you. Honorable members, the motion is very clear that what Honorable Rosa Buyu brought to this House is across the country. So you also cannot gag honorable members. That is why Dr. Ombaka will speak about Siaya, someone else will speak about Mombasa, because it is part of the context. So unless someone is totally out of order, let us give members chances to finish so that everyone can have the chance to talk. Honorable Hillary. Hillary, do you want to be informed by the leader of majority?
Yes, by my leader, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to inform Honorable Hillary that it was quite in order. Because indeed, the honorable leader of minority, the whip of the minority, has indeed confirmed what Hillary was saying. He is not denying the fact that there are people collecting illegal taxes. He had only a problem with relevance. And therefore, Honorable Hillary, let me inform you that you are perfectly in order. There are cartels in this country using violence and anarchy to collect illegal taxes. And they must be dealt with.
Order. Leader of majority, we have already guided. Please, Honorable Hillary, continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to just inform my friend, Honorable Jeanette, that I was using this point exactly to justify why it was necessary for police to come and deal with these criminal gangs. And Madam Speaker, in conclusion, I want to urge the police, the Inspector General of Police, not to blink and to deal and quell with all criminal networks, not necessarily in the Luo Nyanza, but in the entire Republic, and bring order. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes.
The member has already wound up. Your time is up. Leader of Minority.
Madam Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity, and I hope you'll indulge me to allow me speak for about 10 minutes. I am the leader. Why are you anxious?
Order members.
And I want to...
Order members, in my discretion, the leader of majority and minority will each have 10 minutes.
Yeah. Madam Speaker, and I want to actually help reduce the temperatures. But let me start by saying this, that sometimes when I sit here and listen to members speak, I really get amazed. You know, Madam Speaker, I have seen members right from the 11th Parliament. Their 11th Parliament position. Madam Speaker, let me say. This.
it's already out of time. So please do that which is required. Though we have commended you, Senator Sigei, you have 2 petitions that are due for reporting before the House. We hope that you can conclude on them because you're already out of and members of the Labour and Social Welfare Committee. Then Senator Methu with members of the Land, Environment and Natural Resources Committee. They have 2 petitions that are before them that are already time-bound. Last but not least, and I don't think I saw him today, Senator Karungo Thangwa and all the members of Transport, Roads and Housing Committee. They have 4 petitions, Madam Speaker, that are already out of time and they need to report. I hope the senators that I have listed and the members of those committees do expedite on reporting of these petitions so that Kenyans can continue to believe on the power and the place of the Senate in resolving many of these issues, Madam Speaker. And like I said earlier, I think while speaking to one of the petitions that was presented to this House, petitions are increasingly becoming popular as a way of seeking resolutions of matters of public interest. And people are filing many petitions with this House, Madam Speaker, and I hope that our committees can work diligently to ensure that we do not disappoint Kenyans or dash their hopes as they look up to us for resolution of matters. On matters of statements, there are 142 statements that are pending conclusion by the standing committees. I urge these committees to expeditiously consider the statements before them and to table the reports pursuant to the various standing orders. Madam Speaker, at the meeting of the SBC held on Tuesday, the 26th of July, 2023, the committee approved the next set of questions to appear in the order paper for Wednesday, 2nd of August, the morning sitting, for various cabinet secretaries to come and respond to. And I have seen subsequently further questions that have been filed by various members. There's a question by Senator Murango to the CS for Water, and another one question to the CS for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, a question by Senator Murango to the CS for Gender and Affirmative Action, and lastly, a question to the CS for Water. So these 3 CSs are expected to appear before the House, Madam Speaker. At the morning sitting of the Senate, scheduled on the 19th July 2023, the Cabinet Secretary for Education was scheduled to respond to 8 questions from a number of senators. However, as you may recall, members and Speaker, due to quorum hitches, the Senate sitting was actually adjourned prematurely. The CS submitted written responses to the question. I take this opportunity to express concern at the lack of quorum at the commencement of sittings at the House and urge the party whips to ensure that the quorum is achieved for business to be transacted. I must acknowledge the challenge we have for non-appearance of a number of cabinet secretaries. I pointed out yesterday that the House was terribly disappointed by the 2 CSs, the Cabinet Secretary for Health and the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, for their late request for permission not to appear before the Senate. And we commended the CS for Labour, Florence Bore, who filed in proper time her inability to appear before the House. That shows, and we didn't have a problem with her, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, sorry. That confirms that as a House, we are not malicious. We are just saying, be diligent. File your response to this House. Take the work of this House seriously. And Madam Speaker, I hope that the Secretariat organized a letter actually to them in equal wording to the fury that was expressed by colleague senators here. Madam Speaker, the SBC, on the other hand, will deliberate on this matter in the next meeting and determine a way forward with these cabinet secretaries. Finally, on the 7th of July 2023, the Senate received the proposed county government's equitable share disbursement schedule from the National Treasury for the financial year 2023-2024. This document was referred to the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget for consideration, We are expecting the Senate the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget to shortly table its report on the matter, after which the Senate will, by way of motion, debate and make determination on the report to the Standing Committee pursuant to Standing Order number 189-3. Madam Speaker, that's a very important exercise. Madam Speaker, I will also mention that today the President announced to the entire country, and I wish my good friend Eddie to hear this, because when we told them the reason why we were proposing 385 is because we felt that there was need to be truthful and sincere to ourselves, so that we move from how things have been done in the past, where you set an astronomical figure which you are not able to prudently manage. And for the very first time since devolution happened in this country, county governments have received their equitable share that is due for the month of July today. That has never happened. Senator Ali Roba, who's been a governor for 10 years, knows that for a fact. Many times county governments have to wait up to September. But to show our commitment to devolution, Madam Speaker, and that we want our counties to be better managed, by this afternoon, all our county governments, the 47 of them, have received their equitable share for the month of July, Madam Speaker. We've been in this house long enough, and that has never happened. That is how to prudently show commitment to devolution, Madam Speaker. I wish that the county governors will be prudent as well in the management of those resources. I am happy that we have just crossed and concluded on the first financial year, Madam Speaker. And in the next few days, we are waiting the audit reports of all our 47 county governments for the just concluded financial year. You know, many times when governors appear before us, Madam Speaker, they tell us, oh, you know, these are things that were done by the previous administration. There is no more room for excuses. We will be able, Senator Eddie, you will be able to ask our good friend Senator Ochilo Ayako to give account of the resources that you devolved to Migori County in the last one financial year, and take a good time to study through his use of resources, whether it has been prudent. How much of that money went to development? How much went to recurrent? Did it benefit the people that you represent in this house? That audit report will be in this house by next month, Madam Speaker, or early September at the very least. And I hope members can take time to read and put governors to task so that devolution can succeed in this country. With those very many remarks, I support and lay the statement on the table of the Senate. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Majority Leader, for that statement, well stated. We will now proceed on to the next order, and I want to reorganize the order paper under Order 45, and I will request the clerk to call out Order 15. I did not see any senators interested in reacting to the statements. That's why we are moving to order number 15.
Order number 15, the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2023, second reading.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Equalization Fund Administration Bill 2023, which is Senate Bill number 14 of 2023, was published on the 12th of April 2023 and read first time in the Senate in the sitting held on Thursday, 14th of May 2023. Thereafter, pursuant to Standing Order number 145 of the Senate Standing Orders, the bill was committed to the Standing Committee of Finance and Budget for consideration. Madam Speaker, the bill proposes to establish administrative structures for the management of Equalization Fund to ensure effective and efficient implementation of the fund and utilization of the fund. Madam Speaker, Equalization Fund is established under Article 204 of the Constitution, and it provides that the fund may be used to provide
Honorable
basic services.
Senator, have you moved the motion? Yet? Not yet. Better proceed and move the motion.
Madam Speaker, I'm sorry. I beg to move that Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bill number 23, Equalization Fund Administration Bill 2023, which is Senate Bill number 4 of 2023, be now moved for, read for a second time. Madam Speaker,
proceed.
The Equalization Fund Administration Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023, was published 12th of April 2023 and read for the first time in the Senate at its sitting held on the 4th of May 2023. Thereafter, pursuant to Standing Order number 145 of the Senate, Standing Orders, the bill was committed to Standing Committee of Finance and Budget for consideration. The bill proposes to establish administrative structures for efficient management of the fund, as well as efficient utilization of the fund. Madam Speaker, Equalization Fund was established under Article 204 of the Constitution of Kenya, and it provides for improvement of basic services like water, roads, electricity, and health services to counties that were considered as marginalized counties. And Madam Speaker, I've had quite a bit of discussion in the House here where marginalization was equated to poverty and poverty equated to marginalization. It's worthwhile to create an understanding that marginalization is not equal to poverty, neither is poverty equal to marginalization, that marginalization is a state of underdevelopment and poverty arising from deliberate resource denial by successive governments starting from colonial administration to date. And the drafters of the Constitution envisaged Equalization Fund to be able to address this, to bring these areas that are gravely underdeveloped to a level, to enjoy a level of services that is enjoyed by the rest of the country. Madam Speaker, initially, to operationalize Equalization Fund in 2015, the National Treasury had developed guidelines for management and administration of Equalization Fund. It is worth noting that the High Court, in the case petition number 272 of 2016, declared these guidelines on administration of Equalization Fund unconstitutional and hence null and void. This was on the basis that the 2015 guidelines negated the responsibility of the county government to have a role in management of the Equalization Fund. Madam Speaker, thereafter, this House in 2021 passed a new Equalization Fund Administration Regulation 2021 in this House, and the current bill seeks to give effect to those regulations in order to make sure that the administration of the Equalization Fund is anchored in substantive law. Madam Speaker, Equalization Fund Administration Bill 2023 mirrors the existing PFM Equalization Fund Administration Regulation 2021 and seeks to ensure administration of the fund is anchored in an Act of Parliament rather than PFM regulation. The bill proposes establishment of Equalization Fund Advisory Board comprising of the chairperson to be appointed by the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, Principal Secretary, Secretaries for Finance and Devolution, representative of pastoralist communities nominated by the National Assembly, representative of pastoralist communities nominated by the Senate, one person nominated by the Council of Governors drawn from marginalized areas, the control of budget, a representative of Commission of Revenue Allocation, and CEO who is going to be secretary to the board. Madam Speaker, the bill proposes that each county shall establish a county technical committee which shall be responsible for approving all projects financed by this fund. Further, The bill creates another structure under that, which is Sub-County Technical Committee, that is tasked with identification of projects within each sub-county. The Project Identification and Implementation Committee will identify and prioritize projects and beneficiaries of those projects in line with marginalized areas priorities as identified by the second policy, and now hoping to get a third policy in place. Madam Speaker, the bill obligates the board to, inter alia, appraise and evaluate projects proposed under the work plans as proposed through the committee structure, makes recommendation on priority areas requiring financing and implementation in accordance with the work plan, oversee in consultation with the county government the implementation of the projects to ensure compliance with the Constitution, monitor and evaluate projects implemented by the beneficiary county governments. Madam Speaker, taking into consideration the delays that have taken place of implementation of Equalization Fund and the challenges that the fund suffered in these formative years up to now, where only 7 years are left from the sunset clause lapsing, which was 20 years initially. The bill proposes to extend the sunset clause by a further 10 years in order to make sure that the funds that are released amounting to 54 billion shillings are able to be released in time based on government performance in order to make sure that these marginalized counties do not suffer disadvantage. Madam Speaker, during consideration of the bill, the committee invited members of the public to submit their views on the bill. Further, the committee held consultative meeting with critical stakeholders such as the National Treasury, the Council of Governors, the Commission of Revenue Allocation, the National Gender Inequality Commission, among many. Madam Speaker, having considered the bill and submissions from the stakeholders, the committee made several observations, including, given that the project implementation will take place in the marginalized areas identified to be within the counties, the representation of the county government on Equalization Fund Advisory Board and technical committees was inadequate compared with national government representation. As such, the committee, from the public participation that we've presided over, recommends that the membership to the board by the Council of Governors be increased by a further 1 board member. Further, the committee noted the county commissioners shall constitute the county technical committee in line with the previous regulation. And now, in this bill, it recommends that co-chairing be done and the appointment of this technical committee be done by the advisory board at the national level. The Commission on Revenue Allocation should provide clear description of the term marginalized areas and this misunderstanding where poverty is equated to marginalization and marginalization equated to poverty, where urban poor and pockets of poverty has been identified as marginalized areas need to be corrected so that the clear term of what marginalization entails, which is resulting from a state of deliberate resource denial by successive governments, starting from the government, the colonial government, followed by all other governments before the advent of devolution, that necessitated, that created a situation of grave underdevelopment in selected counties. That is what the Constitution termed as marginalized areas initially. However, this has been subjected to quite a bit of definition from many areas, participants, to a level that now that has been diluted so much that equalization is presupposed to mean poverty, and the arguments has followed that line. Madam Speaker, to ensure efficient utilization and seamless implementation of the fund, the Equalization Fund should only be utilized indirectly as conditional grant to counties as per the ruling of the court in line with the case I've just mentioned. Madam Speaker, the representative of the Office of the Control of Budget in the board was found unnecessary since the main role of the office is mainly oversight of the implementation of the fund. Therefore, the committee recommends, having considered all these inputs, the bill to be approved by the Senate as amended and recommended by the committee. Madam Speaker, I beg to move and request Senator Tabitha to second. Thank you very much.
Senator Tabitha. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to do second the Equalization Fund Administration Bill 2023 and state that this is a very important bill to this House because we've been having, yes, the Equalization Fund. And it's one thing to have the fund, and it's another to have structures for administration of the fund. As we know, Madam Speaker, the key and the focused mandate of the Equalization Fund was on the 4 areas that have been mentioned, that is roads, water, electricity, and on the health areas. When I tabled the Equalization Fund bill last time, Madam Speaker, funds have already been rolled on the ground in the over 1,400 marginalized areas in the different 34 counties. And Madam Speaker, with this bill, it's going to give an opportunity for the different counties that are receiving the Equalization Fund to be able to have better structures. One of the key things that is coming out is what we call the technical committees, ranging from the county technical committees, the sub-county technical committee, and Madam Speaker, also the project identification and implementation committee. It's very important whereby these committees will play a very key role and are going to be able to ensure that projects are not duplicated. Projects are also completed. We have situations whereby some projects are still halfway, some projects are maybe not commenced, some projects are pending. Some projects, Madam Speaker, have also been completed but have not also been handed over because of maybe challenges of a few issues here and there. And with these committees being in place, with this bill putting the management, the strategy of ensuring that these 4 areas are going to be achieved, then these committees will really play a key role. Looking at the other members that are going also to be nominated to be able to sit as members of the board, ranging from the chairperson who's going to come from the National Treasury, from the Office of the PS of Finance and Devolution. This brings synergy, especially from the PS Finance and Devolution, because this touches directly on the 4 devolved functions that the fund really much takes care of. You realize also the bill, Madam Speaker, has also given a representation of the pastoralist communities. And this is a very key and a very important area, Madam Speaker, because this over 1,400 marginalized areas are within the rural areas extremely. And people are going to have an opportunity to be able to identify their own key needful projects that are going to be of much more need to the people in those particular areas. So with an opportunity of the pastoral communities being part of this representation, it's a very big plus, as the chair has also stated, Madam Speaker, a representative in Senate, from the Council of Governors, from the CRA. I mean, all this combination, then these projects can be implemented. Still can be fast identified and still implemented, and are going also to ensure that they give the services that are required to the people. And the bill also has talked about the duration. It's capped it at 10 years, and it has room also, I think, Madam Speaker, for depending on the happenings, room for maybe extension depending. But at the moment, with these 10 years, we should be able to see much change. Remember, Madam Speaker, that these committees being in place, it's also a creation of the job opportunities for our people at the marginalized areas, because they are going to play a very key role, and they are going to definitely earn allowances when during their sittings, during their roles, and it's going to open also more opportunities, because when these infrastructures are in place, case example like the health facilities, we are talking then of also more job opportunities in these particular institutions. When facilities, Madam Speaker, like water are also put in this place, then we achieve mostly areas like the agricultural areas in terms of food security, because with the adequate amounts of water, there's a lot that can be done. So, Madam Speaker, the administration bill is a very key bill at this particular time. We are happy as the 13th Senate to be able to table it, execute it, and we are sure that it's going to actually reduce the number of years, because with these committees in place, then all these pending projects that are in place are going to be achieved. With those many few remarks, I do support and do second my chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Senator. Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2023 be now read a second time. Senator Bonnie Halwale, we can now debate the...
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, may I make the declaration that I'm a member of this committee, and therefore I'm fully behind the moving statement by the chair of our committee, as seconded by the vice chair. Madam Speaker, there's nothing I didn't say in the committee that I could say here. But I want to go on record that if it was not because of the sub judice principle, which makes it impossible for me to debate a matter in this House which is before the courts, I wanted to use this opportunity, Madam Speaker, this afternoon to crush Senator Mutata, the Senator of Busia. Because, Madam Speaker, since the year 2013, when I first spoke in this Senate, to date, up to the end of 2021 parliamentary period, Senator Mutata was not in this House. He was all that time, Mr. Speaker, and because I'm not speaking to him in a derogatory manner, I don't have to move a motion. I'm just acknowledging his good work. He was doing his good work as he did outside Parliament. And he waited until he came here. Then he has brought a lot of confusion, Mr. Speaker, creating a matter to become sub judice to the extent that government cannot collect taxes. A matter which is clearly taken care of in Article 114. When the judges will read his things and his complaints and then they apply Article 114, that little case will collapse. It is not an issue. But he's holding the whole country and making members of the public who are not suspecting to go to the streets thinking that there's a bill before courts that will help them to get what they want. But because of sub judice, I'll not go there. Madam Speaker.
What is your point of order, Senator Eddy?
Madam Speaker, I do sit. First of all, I rise under standing order number 105, read together with standing order number 101. And I do sit in the same committee with my brother, Senator Bonnie Halwale, aka the bullfighter, And I don't know why his bullfighting tendency are being brought here, Madam Speaker, because the way he has even opened his contribution on this matter, Madam Speaker, is basically accusing and seeking to discuss the character and the motivation of a member of this House, Madam Speaker, without a substantive motion, Madam Speaker. Notwithstanding the fact that what is raising about Senator Okiya Mtata is not relevant to this particular bill. Madam Speaker, this bill is on ensuring that there are effective administrative structures to ensure. I'm in part of what I'm, Madam Speaker. Can you help my brother Senator Cherargei to learn the orders of this House? I'm in part of order. Just relax. You love your time. There's a lot of time. Madam Speaker, protect me, please. Can I be heard in silence?
Senator Cherargei, allow him to prosecute.
So is my brother Senator Boni in order to prosecute a colleague senator, a man who stands on high stature on this nation, because we are a house. No, I'm just still trying to. What's wrong with Cherargei today?
Let him finish. Finish, Senator.
A man who stands on the highest regard of almost all Kenyans of this nation, who have given even the priority of being in this House. Madam Speaker, is the senator in order?
Senator Moni Halwale, you began very well by cautioning yourself about the sub judice rule, but you veered off. I want to read out for you Standing Order 101.4. No senator shall impute improper motive to any other senator except upon a specific substantive motion. So for that, I will guide you to keep to the debate on the bill that is before the House and contribute your views and your opinions on that bill.
Madam Speaker, I stand guided so that I help the young senator. Somehow, Madam Speaker, they get irritated when you tell them that they are new. What you are trying to do, Madam Speaker, you could still do it during your debate and then counter me. You don't have to come up on a point of order. You just take notes, and when it will be your time to speak, you count on me and shoot me down and shoot my ideas down. But as far as the guidance from the chair is concerned, I agree. I find it very wrong for me to veer into the persona of another senator. And if Hansard is showing, may I withdraw and apologize. Madam Speaker, having said that, it leaves me with only 2 points. I'm supporting this bill because the bill wants to ensure that the administration of that fund is not abused. It should be done within the framework of law. But then, Madam Speaker, as I do so, I'm worried because in the Memorandum of Objects and Reasons, we are told that these are services to be rendered in marginalized areas. Marginalized areas. Under the Constitution of Kenya, marginalized areas are identified by this Constitution. But in this bill, and there's nothing the chairman can do, in this bill, the fund is being administered to areas with the perceived highest levels of poverty. And the intention was for marginalized areas. So, the criteria for which we cannot blame ourselves, which was allowed by our predecessors, they have veered from marginalized areas and admitted a criteria
that then expands the number of counties that are beneficiaries purely because pockets of poverty have been found in those areas. A hard-working Kenyan who is a stickler to the law can go to court and actually find that this bill is unconstitutional because it is attempting to administer money to areas of highest poverty instead of money going to marginalized areas. But that is for a debate for another day when CRA will bring the current formula that they are working on. I support it nevertheless, but now I'm on record. The second point is that we are extending the pendency of the period for affirmative action because we have not used the money in the beginning. This we must support. I suspect that even after we have extended the period we have given, at the end of it, there might still be need for us to extend it even more. Why, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker? It's because I feel bitter that children in the so-called the former frontier districts, children drink dirty water, the same water where camels pee, where wildlife pee, the same water where their livestock pee. Our children, the children of Kenya, purely because of being in marginalized areas, are forced to use that kind of unhygienic water. I am against it, and therefore, my dream is that this House will one day humble itself and allow all equalization funds to concentrate only in those 14 counties that we had identified in the year 2013. Madam Speaker, let me ask you, and I'm not challenging you, I'm just provoking your mind as a mother, a good mother. Can you imagine a county, I know that county, I know you know where it is, a county called Murang'a, with its geographical, climatic advantage relative to a county called Marsabit. Now Murang'a is competing with Marsabit, with the Turkana, in sharing for this little fund. This is why I say let us rise above these things and let just the money go and pull those Kenyans. I came from Britain the other day, and a thought struck me, Mr. Chairman. When I was landing in the morning, I looked at London, and I said, my, what do they see when they are landing here? It's going to take us probably 200 years to remove our manyatas, to remove our slums. So if there is something we can do affirmative so that that correction can be done, let us do it. Madam Speaker, with those many remarks, I support very strongly that this money be administered well. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I have a communication to make. In the public gallery, honorable senators, we have 100 students accompanied by 8 teachers from Cardinal Otunga High School, Mosocho, Kisii County, who are in the Senate on an education tour. Honorable senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. I will now invite Senator Omugeni from a neighboring county to welcome, and Senator Essie Okenyuri.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to welcome students from, you should mention the prestigious Cardinal Otunga High School in Kisii County. And on behalf of my neighbor, Senator Onyonka, who is not here, I extend a warm welcome to students from Cardinal Otunga High School. Madam Speaker, that's one of the schools we are most proud of as a region. most leaders from Gusii, including those from our neighboring counties, even the current MP for Kilgoris, went to Cardinal Otunga. So it's a school that has molded many, many leaders, not just from Gusii region, but from the country. So I'm happy that these future leaders are here to come and see what we do as their leaders. And I want to encourage them. Some of us, Senator Galwale, the schools we attended, we never got the benefit or the opportunity to visit the National Assembly of the Republic. But you are so privileged that you can get a chance of being brought here by your teachers to come and see how the proceedings of the Senate are. I'm going to convince Senator Halwale, who is a name you have heard many times, and Senator Cheragei, to come out there and shake the hands of these young boys and encourage them to be the future leaders. And Madam Speaker, these are schools that when it used to have Father Anthony, used to produce serious athletes. Serious athletes used to come from Cardinal Otunga. I remember when we used to meet them in sports event, we used to fear Cardinal Otunga the way they used to run 4 by 100 meters. So it's a school that has also made great contribution in the field of sports. Madam Speaker, we are proud to have you, our future leaders. We want you to go back encouraged, inspired, and I hope from this team, one time in the future, when Senator Onyonka has retired, we will have a senator from this team. Thank you for coming, and have a safe trip back to Gusii. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
It is your point of order, Senator.
Thank you for giving me that this opportunity. I'm understanding order number 105. Is the Senator of Nyamira in order to conclude his appreciation of these great children from Cardinal Otunga without giving due recognition to the greatest leader from this family who used to sit on this side, George.
심각하다니요. 그게 무슨 말씀?
환자 의학적으로 할 수 있는 건 다 한 상태입니다. 이제 환자의 의지와 기적을 바랄 수밖에 없습니다.
Mtoto wetu ako na kisirani, sijui kama ni bibi alimchapa jana, ni drama dioe. Hani nyanyuki ama na nini mheshimiwa? Kupia drawer, is it part?
Ati?
Tupia artist drawer, is it a part? Yangu leta. Nilitumia mbolea yako kuchora. Huko unasema. Enda kwa labor ward.
Kwa labor ward ama kwa labor wafanyikazi? Ule kwa wafanyikazi.
Si ndio kwa labor ward.
Si labor ward.
Labor courts.
Labor ward ni pale ya mama kujifungua.
Sio huko. Why are you working with me mheshimiwa? Kwa nini? Nauliza.
Mimi naargue na wewe.
Anga utakola kumangana kwa tayari mheshimiwa. Anga waache tuongee na mama.
Unaondoka.
big a pay lang lang. Girl but I bet you go pang pang. And I pick a lang lang lang. You go body joke no cha. Ni no luna kuno no cha. Uo mupano kono cha. Ubango kubade gocha. I've been thinking about you every day na ilirun jagala nkulabe. Nina mawazo leo nataka tuonane. Agisim tagde, ya biti sim tagde. Agisim tache, ya benye agisim tagde. Wali wojo no si burubiri wange ulwale rojagalo jenkusuze. Nabonye mwensimbi nakuze waji baby jagalo jenkuvuge. Bibi, kulumal kulufia, kulumal kulufia. Kene de madekafu. Lang lang, girl but I bet you go pang pang, and I put a lang lang lang. You go body joke no cha, ni no luna kuno no cha. Uo mupano kono cha, ubango kubade gocha. Madaga tulana, talaga ni mana. Girl you got it, my Bugatti, Maticati, then in the shira. Don't worry about the million. Just sit down and chill ya. I love you, the feeler. Bibi, kulumal kulufia, kulumal kulufia. Kene de madekafu. Baby, jo twende, abangina bubalabe. Baby, jo twende, abangina bubalabe. Kalbe tugu pang pang, anabiga bilang lang. But I bet you go pang pang, and I pick a lang lang lang. Bani seo kano kareta, kari mululi miruganda, muli mobu gambo buma. Nalina kwagala doku veta, sagamba nganecha, katike nkufunyeze sirina. Labu jeni na nasikira ya jaja, kaka satoli jula neta, banyino ku ebikawa jangufuke sebo tebalina maniwa kobene mpeo tebalina jalina nacho tebakula masinjeri kuntobo tebalina wawunyabo batito tebalina maniwa abatona bikedo tebalina mimire noli kudiko tebakula masira twala mtu tebalina mukwano mwenyango lumya Sweater, mene nguma tichiribeda. Yeah, abali bakugamba mundi Casanova, yali propaganda. Byona bye bakugamba byali bya bulimba. Yeah, lawonyo buwalo butunula ngobwafa. Otokotanga genereta, buzonga nyo kubasawa baganda. Tiri kubona ntoli mukaire, mpaka ngonzinze mumukaire. Dijakuwa ngomudenene, wosikire nga umpengere. Oyenda kunwacho musongole, saba choyenda nkuletere. Bale babone bali kubifene, kula nekere tamba bongole. Mukwano mwenyango lumya. Abalala mukirire fetombuka. Nze siri obo umwanyi sabala. Samusanga kukubo chokola banga wankizo nabali bamwagala njolo sebwe najja nebe kubendobo laba yenna taliko naziro tebamufuyisa mpeo ngamba kyo talinaze muntu sati emisango njitwala uwo mukoti nze kaviri kajadundi kukumanga siri laba mulala bambiyamba atere kirale byange twala seta kumanya bono basinga atere kirala bantama mutuleke tuvimbe ulira binyuma nnyo tupate bagambe leka kasana kake kubano mwana byankolera si byangu kororo nyange penjeru kuwe myufu nze penjeru kuwe myufu enyonyi muzingo nyamba zizane koti suti owami water holy water my teacher goli wambala siri kutamba kubude kucha sula mwengo yetu gende mchibali wacha mchi watu turumia barabi changwe no nyabo kulaga masani abenugundaba mufakati mufababa angambiranze kuwange yano nyampalana yano sa sewakupatira muchituli tobagogonenya yo mutuleka tuvimbe ulira binyuma nnyo tupate bagambe leka kasana kake kubano mwana byankolera si byangu kororo nyange penjeru kuwe myufu nze penjeru kuwe myufu enyonyi muzingo nyamba zizane koti suti sampoda uyambala embira mukwano